Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It is a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. Fine jewelry, watches, and much more. It's family-owned and operated with the largest selection of natural diamond jewelry. We're going to have Brent Beaird, our college football analyst, today. Mike Morgan had to catch a flight this morning, so we'll try to get him maybe tomorrow or next week, something along those lines. Tonight, if you're in Gainesville, go check out, well, you probably ain't getting in, but Oklahoma is at KDC Shoal Presley Stadium, 3-game series to end the regular season for the Lady Gator softball team. They're the number 1 team in America. Big series moving forward for postseason play. Baseball goes to South Carolina starting tomorrow. Let's go to the Titan Emma Heartline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. We're joined by our college football analyst and Heisman Trophy, Brent Beaird. Good morning, Brent. How you doing, my man?
Good morning, Shane. Doing well. Just want to throw this out there. If folks are yearning for some college football on the field, they actually can see that tomorrow night. Washington has its spring game tomorrow night, May the 2nd, and it's going to be televised live by the Big Ten Network. At 9:30. So if you're getting in late tomorrow night and you want to see some college football, there it is. You know, frankly, Shane, that's a pretty fascinating move and pretty smart. That way, they waited until the portal was closed before having their spring game. So that they don't have to worry about their players being poached now. I thought that was pretty smart.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty late to have a spring game. I mean, May 2nd, good gracious. Before you know it, they don't even need to turn their equipment in. Just put it back in your locker because pretty soon you'll be,
really
fall camp.
Yeah, well, the only to me, the main risk of having one on May the 2nd is if you get somebody hurt, they may miss the beginning of the season or more. So, but still, it's an interesting idea.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, the draft has come and gone. And once again, the SEC, the premier conference. Just your thoughts on how many players were taken from the SEC, and obviously the Big Ten did as well.
Well, those two, or the SEC had 79 and the Big Ten had 71. The closest conference was the ACC with 42. That's quite a discrepancy between the top two schools. And see, the draft is further evidence why, and look, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, that's just the way it is, but it's why the SEC and the Big Ten have argued, okay, we have the biggest ratings, we have the most players drafted, we have the most resources, we have the most money. Shouldn't we have more of the say-so of what happens in college football? So that's a little bit more evidence of what we see all the time.
Yeah, for sure. The premier conferences, for sure. And it goes to show you, when you look at the teams with the most players selected, it kind of translates to what you do in the playoffs.
It does. There's no doubt. Ohio State at 14, Georgia 13, Texas at 12, Oregon 10, Ole Miss at 8, then Alabama, Florida, LSU, Michigan, Miami had 7 apiece. Maryland had 6, which was good for them. Notre Dame had 6. So to your point, Shane, yes, it doesn't take long to figure out when you look at who's been drafted, who was in the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt about that. A couple of Facebook Lives brought to you by Melvin Law. Andy says, I wonder if JC's going to Tuscaloosa tonight. Trump is speaking at the commencement. I didn't realize that.
He is.
I don't think
yes.
I don't think JC is making that trip, though. Brent, Andy also says, and we'll probably talk a little bit more about this, but he wants to know what the vibe's like on Travis Hunter in Jacksonville, and how do you think the Jaguars will use him?
Well, that's a good question. Hunter was their pick. They moved it up to number 2 in order to get him. I mean, he's a tremendous player. I mean, my big question is, and you play and you understand this better than anybody, is can he keep up the pace of playing both ways? I think they'll be that they'll kind of pick and choose whenever they want to play him, particularly on offense. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see how long that lasts and how long he can do it. So I mean, he's certainly conditioned in order to do it. He's got the mindset in order to do it. So I mean, well, there's a lot of excitement. There's a question about that. I mean, it was a pretty good draft for them. They still should have got more offensive linemen. That's their big bugaboo remaining is, I mean, it almost doesn't matter who you get for skill positions. If you can't protect your quarterback and your offensive line won't let you run the ball, that's a real problem. And as of now, that's still remaining.
Yeah, Brent, we got talking about the draft. I'm curious if somebody ever did this research, but, you know, you got listed here some former 5-star big-time recruits that were not drafted. I wonder how many 5-stars they go undrafted, you know, when it's their time to go into the draft.
Yeah, that's a good question. I do have a little bit on that, but some of the guys who were not drafted, DJ Uiagalelei, that was certainly no surprise.
Did he sign with anybody as a free agent?
I'll have to double check that. I'll put it this way: I haven't seen that he did.
Yeah, I haven't either.
You know, so Brew McCoy of Tennessee was not drafted, but the reality is for Brew McCoy, he was hurt a lot, and I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. Obviously, Cam Ward was number 1. Jackson Dart was the first-round draft choice. Some other guys that fell. Will Howard of Ohio State didn't get drafted to the 6th round. Same thing for Riley Leonard. Quinn Ewers was the one who fell maybe the most to the 7th. Jalen Milroe had to wait a couple of rounds before he was too. So one thing that I did see about that there are a lot more, particularly in the first round, there are a lot more 5-stars who actually get drafted. Here's a breakdown here. I'll do this real quick. In the first round of this year's draft, there were 11 5-stars who got drafted, 15 4-stars, 4 3-stars, and 2 of the guys were not ranked. So that's 81% of the players who were drafted. And this is only in the first round. And we'll get this further information a little bit later on. But that's 81% of the first round that the websites that follow recruiting predicted that they would be either 5-stars or 4-stars. So that's the ability to evaluate high school players now is not a perfect science, but it is better than it used to be.
Yeah, and I think more stuff is coming out about Shedeur Sanders, about, you know, he didn't play in the Senior Bowl. He didn't do these interviews. He tanked interviews trying to not go play for those teams. Just tell us what you think about this whole situation, Brent.
It's a sad situation in a lot of ways. I mean, a lot of this is on Sanders and the people who have given him advice. And look, if you don't, Jay Glazer made this statement, and I think it's pretty apropos. He is a draft guy, follows it very closely, and he said that he would, if he could, he would add. This is all subjective, but you'll get it. He said if you could do the draft evaluation, and he said the guys who really value football, in other words, they love playing the game, they are often drafted higher than the ones who aren't. I don't know how you measure that, but that's what he said. And we were talking about Hunter a few minutes ago. Hunter is that way, is that he kind of eats and sleeps football, and he loves the game. And what Glacier said, and there's some validity to this, is he's seeing less of that now because of NIL. These guys get their money early, and they don't work on their craft the way they should. So maybe some of that goes with Sanders. And I'm not saying Sanders is not a good quarterback. I think he'll be okay eventually. But look, Shane, it's up to him right now, right? I mean, he's drafted. He can go. He can do something with his life or not. So we've moved on from the speculation. So the ball's in his court.
Yep, for sure. But a lot of times when you're drafted late rounds or you're undrafted at all, it's an uphill battle. I mean,
sure it is.
You're usually slated to be a backup if best case scenario. But if people missed it, this whole Jaden Rashada thing's bizarre. He finally found a place to go play, and we'll see if he actually. You would think he would play some quarterback now for this team, since he hasn't played for anybody else really.
Well, Jaden Rashada has landed at Sacramento State. Probably a lot of people are thinking, where in the world is that? But he was a little bit of rumor for North Carolina, but North Carolina canceled the trip. He went to Western Kentucky, or taking a trip there. But I think the reality here that really stands out to me is how he was the rage for a short period of time. Began his career at Arizona State, transferred to Georgia. Obviously, we all know the Florida situation, but that is where he is wound up. And Shane poses a good question: is he even going to stay at Sacramento State and try that? So, and by the way, this court situation with Rashada and Napier in Florida, there is a deposition in October. January 30th of the next year, there's a mediation deadline. And then if it gets to that point, there's a trial set for July of 2026. So I know a lot of our listeners are hoping this will go away sooner than later.
Yeah, it's a mess for sure. Okay, so some other news, not really regarding on the field, but Yahoo Sports is selling Rivals and their own 3 deal. Tell us what's going on there.
Yeah, this is a really big deal. This came out yesterday. Shannon Terry has been associated with most of the big college football, college basketball websites. And what happened yesterday is Shannon Terry owns On3. That's one of the newer college football websites. Well, Shannon Terry basically at one point owned Rivals.com. That's where I got my start in writing in college sports. Actually with Shannon. But Shannon's done very well for himself wherever he's gone. He sold and bought several different websites. I mean, he was the co-founder of Rivals, and is involved with selling it with Yahoo. So I think it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. Frankly, I mean, On3's kind of got most of the or a lot of the bigger bells and whistles and some of the other sites. But again, I think what comes out with this is, I mean, we know a lot of people who work in these sites, and I hope they keep their jobs. Not sure what all this is going to mean. It's too early to know that now. But the main thing I just wanted to get out here was that On3 has purchased Rivals.com, and they actually have what they call a partnership now with YahooSports.com, which means they're on the board of directors together, things of that nature. So I won't, no use to complicate any more than that, but just want to make folks aware that that's a big change in how we report college sports, and will be fascinating to see where it goes.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we had Toby here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, says DJ Ugalele signed with the Chargers and is an undrafted free agent. Brent, I had a Facebook Live here. It went away. I can't find it, but I wanted to bring this up. Did you see where Texas, I want to say the reports were last year that Ohio State spent around $20 million on their roster.
Yes.
It's reported now that Texas is going to spend anywhere between $30 and $40 million on their football team. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. As a matter of fact, I've got it here in the notes too. I mean, that's really unbelievable to think about that. But yes, Kirk Bowles, I give him credit. The Houston Chronicle is one who reported that. Now, Kirk's has been doing this for a long time, so he would know. Yes, the budget, according to Bowles, the budget for the Longhorns roster this fall is between 35 and 40 million. With that, accounting for the projected revenue sharing figures and payouts from Texas One Fund. That's the name of their NIL situation. So, I mean, who in the world can sustain that? I guess Texas probably could. But yes, we were talking last year, and everybody was, well, I won't say shocked, but everybody was commenting on Ohio State spending 20, and here's Texas between 35 and 40, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. The Pouncey twins, Mike and Marquise, invite you to try the mango martinis at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, handcrafted with their J.F. Hayden liqueurs. Try those flavors or find your favorite at shopjfhaydens.com. We have Brent Beaird, college football analyst, Heisman Trophy voter, on the Titan MRI hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tail. I wanted to mention, before we jump back into football, one of our big sponsors at Titan MRI and Imaging, Joe Colorio, his family has a horse in the Kentucky Derby.
Really?
He's already up there, so I wanted to get him on, but Sandman is their horse. So we're going to be pulling.
Wow.
I was on with Buddy Martin the other day, and I know nothing about horse racing. I just say I'll always take the 9 horse.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the 9 horse and Sandman because of Joe. So
that's great.
There you have it. All right, Brent, let's go around the league. Tuscaloosa's done up in Alabama. They're done with spring ball, but what's very interesting, they lost nobody to the transfer portal.
That's right. Yeah, they really circled the wagons and kept everybody. And Shane, did it surprise you they kept all the quarterbacks? Now they've got they've got a freshman quarterback. They've got Ty Simpson, who everybody thinks is going to be the starter, and then they've got the Mack kid, M-A-C-K. He's 6'6". He's a transfer from Washington. But they did. They kept all the quarterbacks, and for that matter, they kept everybody on the team. So Alabama had no players leave in the portal for the spring portal. So that is rather amazing in a lot of ways. So, and I think that's one of the reasons people are thinking they'll have a better team than originally thought.
Yeah. Barone71 says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Talent-wise, Shadur Sanders is a backup quarterback. Maturity and attitude-wise, he's a kindergartner.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. Arkansas Razorbacks, what's going on in Fayetteville?
I do want to point out that they've added transfer receiver Andy Jean, who was at Florida, 6'1", 185. He's a redshirt sophomore, spent his first 2 years at Florida, went to Pitt in December. Then he went back into the portal, and he will have 3 years of eligibility remaining. Arkansas has 6 transfer wide receivers, so they've basically almost redone their wide receiver unit. So big year though for Sam Pittman. Bobby Trino comes back. Taylor Green comes back at quarterback. They did lose Landon Jackson on defense. That hurts them too. And by the way, Shane, a lot of folks may not have looked at this yet, but Arkansas plays Notre Dame and not in the non-conference action.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, but I was with a buddy of mine who played at Florida, but his daughter goes to Notre Dame, and he went up to Notre Dame and when Florida State played last year just for the the experience. And
sure,
he's got relatives that went to Arkansas, so they're doing a big family deal. I had no idea that Notre Dame was traveling to Fayetteville, Arkansas, until he told me that. So that would be a good trip for sure.
Oh yeah.
The Auburn Tigers. I don't know why I'm intrigued by the Auburn Tigers this year. I just think if they get any kind of play worth a darn out of Jackson Arnold, Auburn can surprise some people.
They could. That's very possible, but a lot is with Arnold. Now they've got a freshman, Deuce Knight, who originally committed to Notre Dame. There's a lot of excitement about him, but the reality is, he's like a lot of freshmen. He'll make a highlight reel play, and then he'll make 2 dumb plays. So, but that's just part of the process, frankly, in growing up. So, but I mean, again, they got some good receivers. Cam Coleman comes back. Eric Singleton, remember him, Shane, from Georgia Tech.
Yeah, he's a very good player.
He really is. So that will help them. I still think the best thing Auburn did was they got 2 tackles. One of them was from USC on the offensive line, and that's going to help them tremendously. So you're right. Intriguing situation in Albany. Remember, they start the season at Baylor on Friday night. So that would be fascinating to see that one too.
Yeah, Mark says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, with all the money these kids are getting paid now, why do they even care about going to the league? Well, a lot of them realize, Brent, what is the percentage? 1% that make it to the National Football League?
Maybe.
Yeah, so now, and honestly, some of these guys are going to make more money. Even if you do make it to the NFL, you're going to make more money in college than you are in the NFL because everything is slotted depending on how many years you're in the league and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, like, let's just take the Gators. The Gators, I think, had 7 players drafted and about 6 or 7 that signed free agent contracts. Out of those 13, 14 players, maybe one guy lasts more than 3 or 4 years in the league.
Yeah.
And that's just the facts. So yeah, it's crazy the amount of money that these guys are getting in today's world. Speaking of the Gators, what's going on in Gainesville?
Well, it was good to see the DJ Lagway film. I mean, there wasn't much there, but he was throwing the ball. So I think that got a lot of people's attention. I thought they got a good pickup from Brent Beaird, the defensive tackle out of Baylor, 6'5", 300, has 3 years of eligibility left. I mean, he didn't do a lot on the field, so he's got a lot of upside there, which hopefully will help too. But Shane, as you've said many times, in this day and age, you can't have enough defensive tackles, can you?
No, and that's the key to the Gators season, in my opinion, is the front 4, front 7 on defense.
Yes.
So I don't know anything about this guy but like you said, anytime you have another big defensive tackle come in, it can't hurt from a depth standpoint.
No.
The Georgia Bulldogs, I think I said this last time I talked to you, Brent. I don't know why. I just feel like they're kind of laying under the radar, so to speak, because they didn't make the playoffs last year. I don't know if fans are excited about Gunnar Stockton or they're not, but it just seems like, I don't want to say people are writing them off, but there's not that hype about the Georgia Bulldogs so far this year, in my opinion.
Well, and there's reason for that. That they really struggled in a lot of ways last year. Frankly, I mean, their offensive line was injured throughout the year. Their wide receivers dropped 30 passes. Yes, 30. They led the nation in that. And obviously you had Carson Beck, who got hurt. I mean, Stockton is their guy. Look, Stockton is just a fit. He fits the culture. The coaches and players love him. And look, is he a great quarterback? No, he's not yet. I mean, he may be before it's over. But to Shane's point, the reason, I mean, they'll still be in the top 10, certainly top 15 with all the magazines coming out. But they've just got a lot of holes to fill. They had a lot of defensive players drafted. That's no surprise. Seemed like the Eagles have either Alabama or Florida on defense. Dante Williams, their defensive backs coach, has been given a new title of associate head coach. That's in the Georgia staff directory at this point. Shane, it's almost amusing on the different titles coaches get nowadays. But I mean, they like him. They think he's done a good job, and they rewarded him with that. And again, to Shane's point, Georgia had 13 players drafted, and you don't get over that real quick, do you, Shane? So, but still, they've got a lot of players coming back, and they'll be very good.
Yeah, I saw this note here of yours. Georgia, they got 10 players out of the transfer portal this year.
Yeah.
But the one that stands out to me the most, and I didn't even know this was possible, is the Army edge rusher, Elo Madozi.
Yeah.
I didn't think you could transfer out of Army.
I'm going to follow up on that and see. Look, that's a great point. I don't know what that means, Shane, if he just decided that he had enough. But I'm with you. I mean, if you're in the military, along with playing college football, you are limited what you can do. So that is fascinating. And frankly, this guy you're talking about is an edge rusher, and he's really very good. So that will help them.
He must be damn good if Georgia wants him. I mean,
really?
I love Army Navy football, but there ain't many Army defenders that look like they can play in the Southeastern Conference.
Good point.
This is very interesting from this young man here. The Kentucky Wildcats, it blows my mind. They have a different quarterback every year.
Yep.
They have a terrible offense every year.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know when Stoops is ever going to figure out if he could ever get a decent, just an average offense. They could be scary.
They really could. Oh yeah, I agree with that. And they've had some good skill position players. Unfortunately, a lot of them have transferred out. But Zach Calzada is the quarterback of choice this year, and I believe this is Zach's 7th year. If that name sounds familiar, it should, because he was at Texas A&M. And Shane, to your point, Kentucky in total offense last year was 119. There were like 133 teams in Division I college football. So that's something they've got to improve. They've got to get better offensively, and they've really struggled. You remember when Will Levis was there? As a matter of fact, Liam Cohen, who was the coach of the Jaguars, was at Kentucky twice as offensive coordinator. One year they really had a good year when they had a good offensive line and they could protect Will Levis. that remains to be seen what's going to happen for him this year.
Okay, we got a lot of people chiming in now on YouTube and Facebook about the military schools. Rich says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Phone, military academy cadets can leave after their sophomore year with no commitment. Used to call it as junior college deal. Let me see here. Brent, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I knocked myself off
No.
here. And then I didn't even know this, but I got great listeners that give us information. Andy tells us on Facebook Live, the Gators have a tight end from Air Force, Caleb Rillos. I didn't even know that. So learn something every day.
That's right.
Yeah, but I guess I just never heard of. I guess the biggest shock to me is the Georgia Bulldogs signed a dude from Army.
Yeah, you're right. Yes,
that surprises me.
It is
on defense for all of that.
That's right. Yeah, really.
All right, what's going on with Mississippi State?
Well, State has really struggled in a lot of ways, and it's just going to take time for Jeff Lebby to get this going. Blake Shapen at quarterback, he's had some good moments, frankly. Now, State did not have anybody drafted. That's unfortunate for them. So, with that said, you can tell they've got to really do an overhaul, and it's going to take him several years in order to do that. I think Lebby's going to be good. He did a good job at Oklahoma. I think when he does get some players in at Mississippi State, the same is going to happen with that too. It's just going to take him a lot of time.
Reserve State Farm offers a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call, 352-240-1779. A few more minutes with Brent Beaird here on the Titan and More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Town. Brent, LSU, I don't know if they signed more transfer guys this year than Ole Miss, but it's got to be pretty close. But they have a ton of guys from around the country that they're going to have to fill in. It's going to be interesting to see how this staff handles all these new players.
Yeah, it really is. Ole Miss had 28 transfers, and LSU had 17. So that, but they're both up there. Well, LSU got a lot of really good players, particularly at the skill position. Nick Anderson from Oklahoma. Now, Barry and Brown was a guy that we mentioned Kentucky a few minutes ago, and he was tremendous for them, and also really good as a kick returner. So he now is at LSU. People may forget Jack Pyburn is at LSU. They do like him, and they think he will fit in pretty well. Florida State's Patrick Payton is also a transfer there. Jakeem Jackson in the secondary is another transfer, ex-Gator. And then we got a guy, Mansour Delane from Virginia Tech. So Shane's right. They've gotten a lot of guys, but Shane, don't we almost say that every year? LSU always has dudes, but they're not winning the way that fan base wants them to win. And I'm curious if you have, I've seen some, these early quarterback ratings. I mean, they don't really mean anything, but a lot of the media think Garrett Nussmeier is the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah, he's very good. He's a tremendous thrower of the football. Has a good feel for the game.
He does.
They lost the two starting tackles that went in the draft, so it'd be interesting to see how that works out. All right, the Rebels, they're going with Austin Simmons as their quarterback.
Yeah, and they love him. They think that he will be fine. I mean, they really appreciated what Jackson Dart did. Jackson Dart, first rounder, obviously, but Caden Lee is one of their better wide receivers. Centurion Perkins comes back, so they're pretty happy about that. But yeah, Princely U is the is involved here. But Lane loves to get transfers. They really, they really went all out to win last year. Couldn't make the playoffs. Hoping they can get back this year. But there are a lot of interesting articles, and people may want to Google this, about how Lane has settled in at Ole Miss and really likes it there now. I think this is year 6, Shane, if I'm not mistaken, for Lane. And I mean, Lane's just, he's grown up, he's matured, he's still an incredible coach in a lot of ways. So, they may be on the verge of really doing something if the Simmons kid comes through at quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. They have a pretty easy schedule again. In my opinion. All right, Oklahoma and Auburn are two teams that kind of intrigue me because they've added quarterbacks that can play a little bit. Venables is taking over the defense, which I think is a smart move on his part, but they also added a stud running back. So I think Oklahoma, who has struggled the last few years on offense, you're going to go back to seeing what Oklahoma used to be on offense, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. John Mateer is from Washington State. He's a really good quarterback. Cal running back Jaden Ott is, and this kind of went under the radar, but you're right on with that. Jaden Ott is a really, really good running back. I mean, he was at Cal. He gave people fits at Cal. So that is a big pickup for them. I mean, they've got people they got to replace. Danny Stutzman was a really good linebacker who made over 100 tackles every year. Shane, how about this note? No offensive player was drafted from Oklahoma for the first time since 1997. So that tells you what direction they need to go, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, the Tennessee Volunteers have a new quarterback. I don't think they're going to miss a beat at the quarterback position because I've never been a Nico fan. But what are you hearing out of Knoxville about the trade between the Bruins and the Vols at the quarterback position?
Joey Aguilar, I mean, he came from App State and the kid comes to Tennessee. And look, I know it was App State, and I get that, but that's a pretty good program. But I mean, Aguilar had like 6,000 yards in a couple of seasons. So, listen, they may end up in a better situation than they were than they had Nico. Frankly, now Jacoby Thomas, who is a safety, is in the transfer portal. There was a little thought that he might stay, but it looks like he's going to go. But yeah, that's kind of the main thing with Tennessee right now is kind of, they lost Dylan Sampson to the NFL. James Pierce Jr. to the NFL. So they've got a lot of questions to answer, but Aguilar may be a pretty good pickup for them.
Yeah. All right. The Texas Longhorns, obviously, this is a team that's made the playoffs the last 2 years. They got tons and tons of talent, and now they're turning it over to Arch Manning. Your thoughts on the Longhorns?
Yeah, they'll be fine. I mean, Arch has proved he can play, frankly. I mean, every time he's had a chance to play, he's done well. So I think he'll be ready to go, and I think he'll do a good job. There's a lot of op-ed articles this week about should Quinn Ewers have gone to another school. Well, maybe, but he didn't want to do that. Probably cost himself a lot of money, but still, that was his prerogative, and he ended up getting drafted very late. Anybody who tuned in late, Shane and I talked earlier about the Texas roster maybe between 35 to 40 million, which is just unbelievable. So, but look, again, this is a very good team. And Shane, you think about that athletic program right now. Texas has been in the playoffs in football. The baseball team is one of the best in the nation. I think the basketball team is going to be good. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches because of the resources at Texas. But I give them credit; they've come into the league and they've flexed their muscles in the big three sports, and they're doing well.
Yeah, I mean it's a premier program in America that has a ton of money, and they just got to get the right coaches. And I think Sark's the right guy for their football program moving forward. Real quick before we move on to the ACC, the Aggies, Marcel Reed, I assume, is going to be their starter at the quarterback position. He's a dynamic runner, struggles throwing the football. I'm not sure A&M can go as far as they want with him at quarterback, but he's still penciled in as a starter, correct?
Oh, yeah, that's what it looks like here, yes. Now, they did pick up KC Concepcion from NC State. He's a wide receiver, so it's going to be important, certainly if Marcel Reed improves his passing skills. They've got to redo their defensive line. It was really one of the better ones, Shamir Stewart, Shamir Turner, Nick Skirton, who came from the Big Ten. All those guys went to the NFL. So that to me, that is, now obviously they've got to get Reed up and going better than what he's done. Their real problem right now is on defense, and Elko has pointed that out. So that they will have a real concentration on getting their defense back up and going too.
Yeah. Give us a couple of nuggets before you get out of here. And also, I saw where Jordan Travis, former Florida State quarterback, retired from the NFL. Was that injury related, or did he just realize he wasn't going to make it at that level?
He wanted, this was sad to see, but he said he never was able, he had a gruesome injury, and his body has just not reacted to the point where he wants it to. So he went ahead and retired. Didn't want to do it, but but that's what he did. So that's unfortunate. But boy, when he was healthy, he was incredible and just unbelievable. I think for FSU, the stat that really sticks out for me, the FSU now has gone 7 straight drafts without an offensive lineman being selected, and in 6 of those years, they didn't have a wide receiver drafted either. So, Shane, there's a lot of work to do in Tallahassee.
Yeah, there is. Brent, before we get you out of here, text on the Titan our text line from Kevin says, it's always great hearing Brent. I would love to hear his thoughts on Bill Belichick.
That is an absolute unmitigated disaster that's awaiting to happen. I think at some point they've got to sit down with all the parties involved, particularly the girlfriend, and have a come to Jesus meeting with that. I mean, she's trying to do. I mean, look, they've got a paid, salaried sports information department as everybody else does, and she's basically trying to be the sports information department for Belichick. I mean, if you saw the clip of the interview that he did, was that CBS? And she basically interrupted the interview. That was quite embarrassing. But I mean, my thing with this is something's going to have to happen. What Belichick doesn't need to happen is for this to end up going to the president's office, and the president have to intervene with this. Hopefully Bubba Cunningham, the AD, can get this and everybody on the same page. But see, the problem is this is getting to the point where it's going beyond football, and it's going to make the Jimmy Kimmel's and for them to end up being a laughing stock with this if they don't get it under control. So, Shane, it's a mess, is it not? And they've got to get this straightened out before they start the season.
No doubt. Brent, great stuff as always, my friend. We'll talk to you next week.
Good. Can't wait, bud. Take care. Thanks.
That's That's Brent Beaird. Join us on the Titan and More Highline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Quick timeout. Come back. I'll get to some more of these texts and comments and stuff you're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, Dave & Buster's, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Sign, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Okido America, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Naysayers, setbacks, injuries. Life throws a lot of hurdles your way. The key is just keep jumping them.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. There are many car washes in Gainesville, but only one Gallo Car Wash, locally owned by UF alum and the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to Gator athletes. Locations on Northwest 13th Street and Southwest Williston Road, and coming soon to Jonesville. Again, I want to thank Brent Beaird for joining us on the Titan and More Highline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Mark says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Laws, is it just me, or has the SEC football gotten to be pretty even across the board? Doesn't seem to be a big front runner going into the season. I think it's all the sports in the SEC, but yeah, I think we get closer to SEC Media Days in July, then we'll start, we'll get the preseason rankings, things of that nature. But yeah, it's parity is kind of all across college football, in my opinion. Franklin says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Meanwhile, North Carolina got 3 Gator transfers. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. This Day in Sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life. Campus USA Credit Union. On this day, 2021, at the 147th Kentucky Derby, Medina Spirit gave trainer Bob Baffert a record 7th victory in the race. Oh, Bob Baffert, didn't he get suspended from there or something like that? I don't follow horse racing enough, but again, the Kentucky Derby this weekend. We'll discuss it a little bit more tomorrow. Again, one of our great sponsors at Titan MRI and Imaging, Joe Colorio and his family. Sandman, that's their horse. We'll see if JC has any Peachland Dental picks for us tomorrow. And if you're in town tonight, if somehow you can get into the ballpark, Oklahoma, the number 1 team in America, will be playing the Lady Gators tonight. 3-game series, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I will be there tonight, live action. So it'll be a good one for sure. Text on the Titan MR text line. Speaking of softball, this is from James. He says, Shane, do you think we can win the series against the Oklahoma Sooners. Well, yeah, we can always win it. We're at home. Rothrock's got to pitch well. It's that simple. She is the key to the rest of the season. The Gators are going to host a regional. We'll see after this weekend if it's a super regional, but it's key for her to pitch like she's capable of pitching. And we're playing the 4-time defending national champs this weekend. Should be a lot of fun, no doubt about it. Florida Victorious, proud NIL partner of the Florida Gators, joined today to help make Florida victorious. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to have Coach J.C. Deacon, men's Gator golf coach, join us along with J.C. We'll have all of J.C.'s Peachland Dental picks. I think some of the series of teams that he liked in the series are lost last night. So hopefully J.C. has better picks for you guys moving forward. I like to give J.C. a hard time, as we all do. That's going to do it for today's program. I appreciate everybody, all your comments. I can't get to all of them. Wish we could. But thanks again to all our great sponsors out there and to all the great listeners that give us information about the military academies like today. I was not aware of that. Great information. And we appreciate y'all chiming in. So have a great day, folks, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.